I've just nipped down to the what was the Salt Museum, which was the old workhouse, and just about to go inside in a minute, but I've not noticed this around the back before. Not quite sure where it is. We'll have a read of that notice board in a minute. Obviously some sort of crane or other maybe. Some great guapples are getting on there, look. You can't keep a guapple down. You see the rollers there that a bit narrow on the rollers, unless there was some on that outer race, I don't know. Probably been removed before now. Oh, I wonder if it was let's have a read. Oh, it's the old off the old bridge, right. I didn't know they kept that. Yeah, I can see now there. Right, so we've all walked over that baby, haven't we, in the past? Now if you look up, I just noticed up at the top, if you have a look there. Off the, what would have been the support bars for the span, you know. Same principle as in most bridges, I should imagine. Oh well, that's interesting, isn't it? Have I beat that Darren to something? I bet he's got a picture of it. I bet he had a picture of it when he was in his nappies or something. It's tidy balks of timber, aren't they? Well done. Some sort of engine over here. Whether it's steam or what, I'm not sure. The heart of a ship. Yarwoods. Oh, it's the engine out of Anderton, is it? Right. They must have scrapped her off then. My brother was telling me he spent a night on one of the ICI boats. I don't know if it was this one, but they're all the same virtually. Cumberbatch and Marbury and all of them, they're all more or less the same sort of build. He said he used to have a cup of tea with the lads, you know. Tidy engine, isn't it? It's like that one we saw at the steam fair. They have a really distinctive pattern to the running, you know. It's different than a car. I suppose it's because it's such a long stroke, isn't it? with the counterbalances. That's the crescent shaped items there. I bet that's gone up and down a time or two. Look at the engineering in it. All hissing and steaming, and sliders there, and slide up and down as the rods go up and down. Fabulous. Must take some designing, you know, get all the timings right, and like those offset. See how they offset on the crescent there? See how it goes from small to big. Bit of a rocking action on that, whatever it is, I don't know. Something to do with the timing. Condenser probably. More like the stuff I used to work on myself, but of course not this shape, but sort of size. Vacuum, great big vacuum pumps. I think the smallest we did you could hold in your hand, and the biggest one was 18.5 ton. Use them in paper mills for high volume. Anyway, here we are at the back, and I don't suppose it's a shot again you get to see very often. Another plaque over here, one over yonder. I suppose might as well do them as well. And there's another one to the right. Probably telling us where the other buildings were, because if you've seen the picture, which I'll try and include when I do the video, is you can see the people in the courtyard, which is about where I am now. That's what I've got a stone here. What's this saying? So we can get a focus on it. This stone was laid by Mrs. Herbert Livingstone to commemorate the founding of the Murgatroyd Vacuum Salt Company Limited, a culmination of the work of Dr. Lenstein in the chemical industry. And then it's in Roman numerals, so I think M's 1,000 in it. C's probably hundreds. I don't know, I'm not that good at normal sums, but there'll be some bright sparks out there, who'll tell us. Swinging round, grow your own. I can't grow out. I put my hands on it, it snuffs it. Except great grapplers, they'll survive anything. Even I can grow them. Great grappling weeds is my speciality. Get a little look at that engine from here. It's a big bag of that, isn't it? 2-cylinder. Pleasant surprise that is. Quite enjoyed that. Something I didn't know. You know me, I'm a right know-all. Well, for some things. A grand building, isn't it? Look at them great grapplers up there growing on that chimney. Oh, we've got a fire going. There must be a bit on the outside. Like a proper coal fire. I've not had a chance to get out to film. It's been that grotty weather. Ah, Leftwich Hall. This ties in again. It's amazing how stuff ties in, isn't it? wonder if that's the one that was stood up there and they've moved it down here. Probably getting vandalised or something like that, you know. It looks very much like it, to be honest. There we are. Perfect. There's one more over yonder. Bad sign, I'm getting crumpling noises from these leaves under my feet. And what does that mean, folks? Ooh, it's brrr time. Bit of hibernation. Oh, some more of that modern art stuff here. That's a bit of a dirty sign on here. Workhouse pigs. Plans of Northwich Union Workhouse show there was a piggery on this site as early as 1871. Oh well. Yeah, I could do a little polish up, couldn't I? A bit of varnish on wood. These, I take it, are imitation piggies. Here's my sound effects coming up. Keep listening. I tell you what, you get you spoiled. I spoil you with all these sound effects. I won't do that again. Nearly choked myself. It's very nice and quiet out here. It's a shame go inside really, but in we go. And the worst thing is we've got pay. In Thompson's. And anyway, I've got a ticket so I can get a bit off, I think. Oh, hang on, was that? There we go. The future of salt. Nearly missed this one out. The vacuum salt process is cheaper and more energy efficient way of producing salt than traditional evaporation methods. Well, that's where my work line came in. We did vacuum pumps for ICI, Lostock and Winnington, pretty well all over, Blackpool. ICI Blackpool's gone now, I think. Lots and lots of paper works, paper mills, you know, loads of them. But they're all closing down. People are using less and less paper. Ooh, another one. Ah, hey, look at this. This is a one up on that Darren. Nah, I bet he's got a picture. He's bound to have. He's bound to have a picture. I don't think it's the one that's in the picture, mine, but if it is, there's a couple of lamps missing. I think it's a general idea anyway, isn't it? I'll get a bit closer. I mean, you can pause it anyway and read it if you want to. Oh, I see, it's to do with Bates Foundry. I've not got my glasses on them. I'm looking at this, you know, with hazy eyes as it was. Which way up's that? Oh, here we are. Oh well. My brother I never knew. When we were talking about stuff, my brother actually worked here at Bates's. I recall. And he was telling me about it when what it was like in there, you know. He said, oh my God, he said barring stuff out onto where would be that new road now they've just altered right through right from that far end of Bates's, from where they were pouring stuff and doing, and he had to walk all the way out there, you know, and tipping it out about where that road is. It's like one of tractor tyres from Winsford Mine. I bet they're not cheap. It's done a mile or three. Oh, some down below maybe. Up from the depths. Michelin. Nothing but the best. And Tassie Dobley. And our friends the viaduct there. Guarded by great guaplers. Great guaplers growing up there, look. Yodelers them are called when they get up high like that. Yodeler graps. It has a funny word, see. A yodeler grap. I'll have to remember that one now. Got up there. Can't see them yet, there they are. If I listen very carefully, I think I can hear them. Yodeloo. It's a schoolroom. Well, obviously you can see that, but you know, I am for stating the obvious. That's the complex as it was. You can see it was quite extensive at the back, wasn't it? Somebody made a very nice model of it. Don't know if it's the children or where are we? Get right way on. Ooh, the mortuary. I bet that was busy. The men's yard. Oh, of course it was all separated then, wasn't it? No fraternising. The women's yard. The piggery. Not my foot, that's the piggery. Oh, girls and boys were separated. Order and routine. I bet you couldn't mess about there now, she'd be out on your ear. For whom the bell tolls, eh? Chopping sticks, breaking stones, and teasing, I'm not sure what it is, could be hemp for rope. And if we can get you this, it's a bit low, so I'm not going. Again, you can always pause if you want to read it. I'm trying to improve my camera work again, get back a bit steady, but luckily I never had, I've been on Dane in one of these, a bit bigger than that. I've still got a scar on my arm where I cut my arm on the edge of it. Somebody's old tin bath, and of course it became a boat, boat shape, so in it went. Well, I can remember having a go on it. The national anthem. I expect you all to know this by this evening. Not whether you know the correct way to put a Union Jack up, but if the flagpole was on the left, if you see that there, that red stripe, that's how it should be. That's where that goes, up the flagpole. If you've got this piece there that goes to the ceiling, you're wrong. So that's how they go. Well, now you know how a Union Jack should fly. School bells and a mitre. The bells. All these fancy ways they've got of teaching them now, and how simple can it get, you know? The building blocks are there, aren't they? Many would say, I suppose it's not good enough to get you advanced, you know. Oop, bit over, a bit too much there. Very ornate, isn't it? I remember seeing my Grandad Burgess's First World War discharge paper, honourable discharge. Very similar to that, all Francis Rowe work on. Wounded twice. They always say look up to royalty, but if you look down this list, there's a few vagabonds and what have you, not very nice people. Northwich Union Workhouse. You haven't got a Mark 1 Exocet. No board rubber, where's that? Victorian iPod. I tell you, I remember using these at school. But they didn't have a fancy handle like that. It was a brown one. What them are? Look like knuckle dusters. Not think they got that bad, did they? Oh, look here. Oh, I met him a few times, Luke. Oh, that's had a bit of whacking. Mr. Myerscough. Any time I had it, and I hadn't done out wrong, somebody had said I'd done something, and I said it wasn't me. Anyway, I still got a cane. Them remind me of Victoria Road School, them windows. You remember them? Got locks on them so you can't open them. that wedge piece of wood there. I bet you daren't say boo. Physical education. Oh, there's a shot. I think that's more or less a shot I was on about before, isn't it? Segregated inside and out. I think we'll go and change a battery. We're getting right to that, the old dog and bone. This is at the very left-hand extremities of the building.
Again, I've seen pictures where I think there's quite a well-known one in the air shelters, RHS in World War II, where there's a mother just breastfeeding the baby, and it looks bothered. It's just, you know, it's normal. It's normal. Whereas now it just seems to be. Yeah. So actually, it's had sort of images like that from the past. Yeah. Sort of normalised.
Yeah, and it is that normalisation, and there's pockets, and I don't know what the.
Wonder whether the fireplace was made at Bates's foundry. Bit dark painting, but
Breastfeeding improves the life chances of children. So if you think about it, speak to Catherine because I can see it sort of.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking of looking at sort of obviously images, but obviously looking at, you know, motherhood. Yeah. And the motherhood exhibition. If there's anything from that, so you're not you kind of looking at it in the wider context.
And maybe
try and make it so you can see it.
So have a think.
Back off a bit and zoom in. Hopefully it stays in focus. Sir John Brunner. Peep out of the window so you can see where we are. That's the Art College up the road there. I think I'm on the wrong side of that. I think keep it darkened out most of the time so it doesn't get damaged, you know. Bread bin. The bottom of the museums are all to do with the museum, and upstairs is Northwich related stuff, so a bit more stuff from the kiddies, I think. A bit like Harry Lauder, isn't it? Getting those lights. Let's come round here a bit. That's a good check suit, that, isn't it, eh? Nothing on them to say who they are, but or whether they're just facsimiles, you know. think lights are getting in the way a bit. I don't know whether they're genuine people. Winsford clockmaker. Whew. Heating just come on then, it's blinking warm as it is. I think these are just to give you the impression of what it was like, you know. Rather a grand building, isn't it? I'll show you the ceiling. It's posh, isn't it? Zoom out a bit, I'll be able to see something. What's behind me is a replication of that, basically. Some grillings up there. I think there's a sort of a tower above, isn't there? There'll be some special name for it, but hard work. Phew, this a bit. Fold away mangle. Cholera. Victorian wash day. On a Monday, I could still remember Mother outside in wash house with a copper boiler going. Tell you what, women today haven't got a clue what it was like. You don't know what hard work is. All day she was at it. I remember coming home and the whites going and oh dear. So I used to get on mangle and I got her a automatic washing machine as soon as I got working. Well, it was a twin tub first and I eventually worked up as to come out, you know. I got a fully automatic job. Well deserved, and now she'd done enough. Dolly tub, for those that don't know. Dolly peg. Put that in and that does your washing machine one there. Clothes horse. And I think that's a posser. For going up and down that one. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Oh, I remember one of them being at home, a crossfire hole, or the S-hole. I don't know why it was called the S-hole, to be honest, but that was it. Clothes basket. Oh, I fancied having a go at that weaving like. Looks interesting. Flat irons, homemade pegs, more possers, a bigger clothes horse. That's a proper job, that's the one I remember there, that one. Right, you have muscles on your muscles with them. I say these women now, they'd cry, they would. Slopston, I remember that. That's just how ours was when I was a kid. And down to the right there used to be a stop tap. They'd have the cold water tap and we'd be foot on there, tap open and a drink, council pot. And I swear to this day, it tasted better then than it does now. You glug, 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 glug away at that. Oh, I tell you. A few good flat irons there. Set of clogs. My brothers had them when they were growing up. They both got flat feet. They swear that that's what did it. Wearing them. Used to have steel what's names underneath, you know. Used to skid along, making sparks and that. Those fellas used to have to put them on play-eck. Workhouse wash day. Again, you can always pause if you want to read it. That's a posh one, you can use it as a table, can't you? I should take my cap off now, shouldn't I? We are not amused. Dietary. I can't quite see it, but I bet it's a bit grim. If that's, I think that's the diet I need to be on now. Get some of this muscle off. I get a bit of a gallop on 25 to 4. I don't know what time it shoots. I think we've got bottom half now. We'll be going on to Northwich stuff. So I'll switch off for now. It's behind the main doors.
So what I've kind of learned from working with the places like this, not to go
Places for the children and grown-ups. And the coats and stuff as they come in.
that's the thing. So and also working with partners because basically
Guardians of the workhouse.
I don't have the capacity to do like lots of events.
No.
But then if I'm working with a partner like Silver Rainbows, I can say to them, look, actually, for a building for a cinema, if you want to come and run activities and bring people in, then we're able to offer that.
I mean, interestingly, we were at, there's a group called Eat Well, the active, Catherine sits on it, and one of the issues we have really badly in the borough is about breastfeeding. Our figures are dreadful.
Oh, really?
And I see Catherine thinking, well, how could we do something around to link? So if you've got any ideas, because Rowe, CCG might be, and it's just looking at
Where you come in. Assortment of gifts and so on.
It's like being in a monastery, you know, the bell tells you exactly what to do.
Ah, yeah, got that book I've just received, that Yarwood book. The Workhouse Cookbook. A small cafe. Yeah, I even noticed an ice cream sign outside. Oh dear. We don't know how lucky we were, do we? I was saying my Granny Rowe ended her days in here when it was like a care home, you know, because as I was saying, there was no NHS then. It's like we've got a reproduction living room or something. Hey, imagine having to get all that lot on before you go out. Thinking that. Now chuck a pair of jeans on and off you go. But there's about 50 petticoats and what have you under there. An old picture of Aspidestras, isn't it? St Helens. master and matron sitting room is what it's supposedly replicating. Again, you can pause it if you want to read. I'll just go in a bit closer and then I'm sure you can read it.
So now we've got some of these little crystal things, and now I know what they look like in an actual.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah. They're quite big, they're quite big.
Yeah, they do the job, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean,
To absorb moisture.
well, it's salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, salt comes up, all sorts of colours, I mean, that's floaty bits in it.
That's not smooth, isn't it?
That's
There's lots
a lot
of
of licking, yeah.
Is it? And it hasn't got dinosaur feet.
Eh? I can't see it, she used to be in there, isn't it? Where's it gone? Oh, look there. That's known as beef salt.
Oh, right.
But it's like piece of beef. Right,
Right, let's see this running stuff.
going on, right, see you, eh? You're not working tomorrow. Oh, who is it? Who's with it tomorrow? Duncan. Yeah. Right, who's there, you together? Right, see you, Graham. Cheers. That all rings in mind to you.
Stuff from schools, I think. I've even got some more, quite surprised when I came in, some regal seats. Eh? Fantasy. Fair few of them, must be 100 in here.
Boardroom, school, kitchen, dining room, receiving room, male dorms to the south and female dorms to the north. But why was the workhouse built, and what would it have in store for the inmates?
The new Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834 was behind the foundation of the workhouses. This re-amendment of the previous Poor Law Act of 1601 enforced a standard system which was centred around the workhouse. For once the poor were seen as victims of their situation. The Northwich Poor Law Union was formed on the 20th of October 1836 and was overseen by an elected Board of Guardians.
Elected to represent the 61 parishes and townships of the local area, the Board of Guardians oversaw the foundation of the Northwich Workhouse. The men elected would meet regularly, approximately once a week, to discuss matters, for example, donations of toys for children, payment of staff and medical reports. They also discussed who would be allowed to enter the workhouse.
On entering the workhouse, a family would be separated into categories depending on their gender, age and if they were able-bodied. Once this was established, the new inmates were bathed and issued a workhouse uniform.
The workhouse was run by the master and matron, usually a married couple. The master's role was to admit the paupers and be in charge of the general running of the workhouse. His wife acted as deputy, but would also look after the female inmates and oversee the training of the children. Within the workhouse were other people who ensured that the house ran smoothly. These included a school teacher, a chaplain, nurse and a porter, whose job was to keep the gate and record who entered and left the workhouse.
At 6 a.m. the bell rung, indicating the start of the day. Breakfast consisted of gruel and bread. After breakfast, the inmates would start their day's work. The types of jobs included picking oakum, chopping wood, breaking stones, doing the laundry, and many more. Children would receive at least 3 hours of teaching daily, in addition to usual workhouse chores.
The workhouse routine was harsh and repetitive. In theory, inmates were allowed to leave at any time, but without a job to go to, they would soon need to return. If the head of the family had found work, they and the whole family would then be able to leave the workhouse.
The Northwich workhouse continued to grow. In 1850, a fever hospital was added, followed in 1863 by proper baths and an extended entrance block in 1892. In 1930, it became Northwich Poor Law Institution and later an old people's home until 1964. The part of the original workhouse which remains is now home to Weaver Hall Museum. Other aspects of local history and archaeology are explored in the museum's galleries, including Bronze Age Cheshire, Roman Northwich, medieval abbeys and pilgrims, travel by river and railway, and the discovery of polythene in the town in 1933. You'll find all of these stories and many more in our galleries.
Get a better shot of that in a minute. Oh dear, no knees are aching today for some reason. Amalgamated, oh it's unions. Just have to adjust the camera.
Bulging wall, from which escapes the foul liquid from the privy cesspools in each house. And the fetid mixture runs down a shallow open ditch into the adjoining field, where it disappears into the soil. In another court, the shared privies are provided with a huge cesspool which has not been emptied for 3 years. Though the occupier does not anticipate any trouble for this purpose, as the contents are washed away
Give
by
me
the
arm a
water
rest.
when they rise to the surface. And I would suggest you avoid venturing into Fleming Street. The port's there without any
Trade union. Quite a complicated thing, wasn't it? Well, not complicated, you know what I mean, but all the regalia.
Overflowing leak through walls. Liquid runs from the pigsties and dung heaps through the sandy soil into the houses. And following the complaint from the Wesleyan Church School about foul smells, I discovered that the drain contained sewage from a number of houses, ran right beneath the schoolroom, carrying its owners into that room. I should just hope that my report to the board brings about an improvement to the sanitary conditions of the inhabitants of these courts, Mr. Rowe.
That's how I used to get down at Rock Mine. It's scary. That's what you went down in, I think. Must have had a lot of them. A lump of rock salt. That's what you get prior to crushing. It goes on your roads.
Now, you must be a newcomer to these places.
One of the saws.
I've been visiting these yards to see for myself and report the conditions in our Northwich yard here. Last night, I was informed by our respected and courteous inspector of police that he was about to search a common lodging house
candles.
criminals or a certain individual who is wanted.
Putting on your knees, stop your knees getting mashed up. I don't suppose they did a very good job, but
After a moment's hesitation as to the house to begin with, we pushed our way into a dwelling into which were crammed no fewer than half a dozen young women who had left the peaceful paths of virtue with as many grown men. I say we pushed our way into the house because it had scarcely the capacity of a dog kennel. There was only one bedroom, the ascent to which was extremely dangerous owing to the dilapidated condition of the stairs. Not a vestige of furniture.
quite a long video, Ray, could do with a seat.
From this hovel, we then proceeded to an abode in the same court, where sat two human forms on a bed of straw. We were informed that the relationship was that of mother and child. To me, the mother seemed to be a girl barely in her teens.
Like workhouse and social welfare.
Is apparently 15 or 18 months old. A few rags were not sufficient to cover her emaciated body. Today, I returned to
Polythene. Souvenirs.
So as I walked into the court, I had a vivid recollection of the scene of debauchery and vice I witnessed there just after midnight. I could not help asking myself, is it possible that in a town like Norwich that such a place should exist? So it is. Imagine some 10 or 12 houses forming three sides of a square, the fourth being made up of four cripples and ash pits, all in the most dilapidated and unclean state, and emitting intensely sickening effluvium. 2/3 of the panes of glass that should be in the windows of the dwellings are substitute bundles of rags, pieces of boards, or fragments of earthenware. The timbers of the entrance doors are in a bad state of rottenness. There are several other slums in this township, and also in Lethbridge and Castle, which it was my intention to visit. Those I have already seen were so repulsive to my feeling that I abandoned the idea. The question naturally arises,
I bet there's still some down ICI, made by Bates's. Probably under a feet. What you can see on the wall here are different bits of pattern equipment, which are the shapes of the actual item you want to or need to make. You can see the one in the corner at the top, that's a flywheel off probably a ship's engine, but you've also got pipes, elbows and all manner of things, propellers, gridding, and on the left hand side there a wall plate that many of them must have been made in Northwich with all the subsidence. You see them on buildings everywhere, and they're there. Steel rods go right through the building and they're tightened up to keep the thing from falling over. So but the art of making those patterns, they had to be exact, you know, pretty well. Obviously the casting was oversized to allow machining, etc. But even so, it's a heck of an interesting occupation. And in my job I used to go to the foundries and see them being used, but also I used to go to the pattern makers, and they're really skilled woodworking people, you know, and everything was so exact, and the finish on everything was beautiful and clever, how they had to design it so it could be taken apart and built up in parts for some items that were difficult, you know. And if you look on the wall at the drawings, that's what they were working to, the actual finished item, because theirs was more or less there, you know, apart from the machine surfaces like on that pipe bend. Normally you'd either have a raised flange or it would be a full contact flange where it was machined right across. But as I say, very interesting, and so many skills went into making castings. It's just amazing. There's a grand collection of shipwrights tools here, and the different trades that were involved. Up on the top left there was I think it's Golkin. I always have trouble saying that word. Basically what it was, these were the people that when the boat was nearly finished, they would use those chisels and that hammer and insert rope into the joints between the planks, and different ones, you know, for doing it, flat edge chisels and that for pushing it in. I'm not sure whether the rope was tarred or not, or whether it came in later on. And then of course when the boat went in the water and the wood got a bit damp, it swelled and trapped even harder the cordage that they'd put in between the planks. Very important job, of course. And then a bit further right you've got the adze, which was used to shape timber. Used to be very sharp, those. You had to know what you were doing, and like anybody using an axe, always keep your legs out of the striking arc, you know, so if you miss and it glances off, it doesn't go into your leg. All those had to be learned. And then you've got the jack plane. That brings school back into mind, and the woodworking teacher. And you put it down like it is there, but on a flat surface. You'd get a clip round the ear. Oh, never put a plane down like that, boy. Always put it down on its side. And every time I see a plane, it jumps into me head, you know, lay it down on its side so you don't damage the blade. And then down the right there is different, that's a big screwdriver, flat-headed, because there was no posi drives, and it was all flat-headed screws. And the auger for making holes, and of course hammers, so it can be used anywhere. And so again, in the middle you've got the drawer. I can't remember the actual name. It's like a drawer plane of some sort, isn't it? There's a name for it, but I can't remember it. And you use a similar thing in making longbows, you know, for tapering the ends. That's the art of making a bow, is getting both sides so they curve the same. So that tool's very important. Lots of trades. Just making sure I've got a funny feeling I might not press record when I did a bit of a battery change. Roman helmet, the original. I can always delete it if I've got it, but that's a replica. Medieval. Keeping ladies quiet. Royal Abbey. The Bowman. I remember being down at Warwick Castle and watching the guy there giving a demonstration on shooting the longbow. And he said, people used to think what I've just said to you. He said, but in fact, he said what they'd do, they'd have arrows stuck in the ground, a bit like alongside this archer, and they'd pick one up, load it, aim into the sky, and let loose the arrow. And that was the way it was done. And he said a really good archer could get off a dozen arrows in a minute. That's loading, up, fire, and then repeating. And that's the way they did it. That's the way it was done at Agincourt when the English beat the French. And millions of arrows going up and then coming down. Of course, they went over the top of the shields and what have you. Very interesting. And you can see on the wall there these different arrowheads. One's for piercing armour and others for killing horses and all sorts of manners, maiming and doing, you know. Another fact that people might or might not know, your rather rude sign of putting two fingers up came from the same period, because when the French used to catch the English archers, they would cut off two fingers that they used to draw the bow, so they couldn't fire the bow very easily. And during battles, you know, if the English were doing well or whatever, and they'd stand there putting the two fingers up to show that they're still in possession of them, you know. And that's where it came into being. Of now it's like when you give somebody the two fingers, the vulgar movement. That's where it originated from. That's an example of the wooden brick construction that you see in many of the buildings.
Situated in the heart of Cheshire Plain, Northwich sits at the confluence of the River Weaver and the River Dane, at a focal point of the Weaver Valley Regional Park, creating an inspiring setting for future development. The town is an important sub-regional role and serves an extensive rural hinterland as a centre for retail, employment and local services.
Local constabulary.
It is rich in heritage, with distinctive black and white outline buildings that dominate the town, echoing its historic wealth. Such a charming location has proved attractive, and there are now 55,500 people living in and around Northwich. For years, however, the town centre of Northwich has been blighted by the presence of 4 brownfield redundant salt mines. Since their abandonment in the 1920s, the mines have deteriorated to such an extent that the real possibility of their collapse presents a threat to life and property. This is evidenced by a site investigation carried out ahead of the proposed development in 1989 and confirmed following a geotechnical study commissioned by the then Rowe District Council and published in 1991. As a result of the initial findings, the council imposed a planning moratorium on the town centre in 1994, which effectively stifled property values and depressed economic activity. When they were abandoned, the lower mines were left with supporting salt pillars. Modern salt mining leaves around 30% of the salt to form the pillars. The 4 mines under Northwich were left with sometimes only 7 to 9% of the salt to form the pillars, which is since been found to be inadequate. To provide additional support, the mines were filled with brine. However, this did not halt any surface movement. The pillars in the Northwich mines were also too small to provide indefinite support. With the passage of time, they would become gradually weaker, and studies have shown that they were not likely to last another 120 years, the period of comfort required by investors in new developments. The pillars were not likely to collapse suddenly, and further settlement would have taken place gradually. But even in this situation, the mines effectively blighted the development of over 30 hectares of land around the
Commemorative shovel.
centre. Ground investigations carried out by the Vale Royal Borough Council showed that filling the mines was the only way of bringing this valuable urban space back into use. The promoter and manager of the project was Vale Royal Borough Council. It chose a design and construct contract that was undertaken by Reeking Construction, assisted by their consultants, Arrow. Reeking has a long relationship on the design and construction of mine filling projects, working with the consultant Arrow and subcontractor M&J Drilling Services.
Putting that stuff under town.
Relationships meant they were an ideal choice for the works.
Don't agree with it anyway. I think that's more or less it, my dears. Getting ready for my tea anyway. I don't think it's out down there, but we'll just check. Toilets. Evac chair. I think we've more or less got it. But his arm's aching holding that bow back. About £60 pull on some of them, you know. You had to work your way up to them. Craftsmanship on that. There's a bit more, isn't there? A bit of a salt pan. Corner off a salt pan. But I think we've done them, haven't we? Traffic's building up. Just my car on car park.